Hello, wonderful entrepreneur. It's Tash Corbin here, and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. This is episode number 273, which means you can find all the relevant links and show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/273. In today's podcast, I'm going to be laying out the turn process for you, how to build messaging that converts. This is a really practical episode. I recommend pen and paper if you can, so let's dive in. I'm Tash Corbin, and this is the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. When I ask people what their biggest challenge is with getting clients from online places, it's generally one of two things. Either they're struggling to reach their ideal clients and audience, or they're struggling with what to say and what their messaging should be doing in order to get those sales. It's a simple process in order to be able to refine your messaging online to be higher conversion. There is a gap between what our audience thinks is going on and what they need in order to solve their problem versus what we know is the deep transformation required. At its core, every single person who has a service-based business is helping people to achieve a tangible outcome, whether you're clear on what that tangible outcome is or not. The better you get at crafting that tangible, high connection language and messaging, the more consistently you'll be converting clients online. What we need to do is understand the different perspectives that we have compared to the perspective that our ideal client has and create an opportunity to connect with that audience, to help them move closer to understanding exactly what's going on and how your help could help them to get closer to their goal quickly. So what I want to cover in today's episode is the turn process. What I recommend when it comes to your messaging online is don't dismiss what your ideal clients are saying. Instead, connect with them and use this turn process. I see it so often. People are online on social media yelling at their audience, basically telling them that they've got it wrong. You think you need this, but you don't need that. You need this instead of listening to what their audience is saying. If every time someone came to me and said, Tash, how do I get more followers on Facebook? I turned around and said, you don't need more followers on Facebook. Then what would happen to those people? They would go and get the advice that they need elsewhere. Yes, I understand that getting more followers on Facebook is not the way to create really sustainable, really strong business growth, but that's what my ideal client thinks that they need. And so instead of me creating this one or the other opportunity where people need to let go of their belief that they need to get more Facebook followers in order to listen to me and get the right advice from me, I give people both. It's not an either or, it's an and. So when people come to me and say, I need to get more followers on Facebook, how do I do that? I say, here's my podcast episode on how to get more followers. And in it, you'll also see I teach you how not to just get more followers, but actually turn that into making more sales. Because that's the true transformation that people want. That's the outcome that people want to achieve. That's the reason why they want more followers. So if you are a health and wellbeing practitioner, or if you are a business-to-business provider, or if you are a life coach, if you help people in their relationships, it doesn't matter. There's a reason why people want help. There is a reason why they are asking that question. Their question may be a little misguided. Your job is not to judge them or dismiss them for asking the wrong question. It's to answer that question and use that opportunity to help them to bridge the gap between what they think is going to fix it all versus what you can see the real transformation is that they need to achieve. Which is why I've created this turn process. So turn is actually an acronym. It stands for think, understand, real need, and next steps. Think, understand, real need, and next steps. So let's go through that turn process in a little more detail. So first and foremost, you need to understand, what does your ideal client think the problem is and what do they think the answer is? So my ideal client thinks that the problem is that they don't have enough Facebook followers, and they think the answer is to get more Facebook followers. That's why they think their business is not being successful. That's why they think they're not making the sales that they need. And so it would be very dismissive of me to say, don't worry about your Facebook followers. That's dismissing their real need to get more Facebook followers because they think that that's what's going to help them get closer to their goal. So instead of me dismissing what people think is the problem, what they think the solution is, I create content that helps to solve that problem and provide that solution for them. And in the process of solving that problem, I also help them to understand. So what I do in that process is help them to understand, one, how to solve the problem that they have that they think is going to fix everything. And also I help them to understand that it may go a little deeper. It may go a little deeper. So that's the U of the turn process. So T is what they think the problem and solution is, and we address that. And then U is help them to understand how to solve that problem and start planting the seed that maybe it goes a little deeper. R stands for real needs. And this is where we help people to understand that if they want that bigger goal, i.e., making more money from Facebook, then there's going to need to be a bigger intervention. Creating income from Facebook is not just about getting Facebook followers. Yes, getting Facebook followers is part of that. But if you want those followers to connect with you and buy from you, then we also want to address A, B, and C. So this is where we start to bridge that gap and give this and that. Instead of just saying, you don't want this, you want that, we bridge the gap. So the real needs is your opportunity to help people to see and have that light bulb moment. Oh, I'm trying to solve my income problem by getting followers on Facebook. That's not going to do it on its own. I also need to make sales. So that light bulb moment then opens them up to understanding what is the deeper transformation that they need to experience. And then the N of the turn process is the next step. How could you support them taking the next step to the deeper, bigger transformation? Now, that might be a free resource. It might be how you work together. It might be a product, a service, or a course, or something that you have that would help them with that larger transformation. Depending on where you share your messaging and how you are talking about your transformation will help you determine what that next step is that you want to present to them. So let's say you're doing a Facebook Live on social media and it is taking people through this turn process. Well, the next step might be for them to jump onto your mailing list. Or let's say you're doing a Facebook Live and it's the day of cart close on your course. The next step would be to buy the course because the cart's about to close. So different times and different pieces of content on your social media will have a different next step, but it's important that you do make it clear what the next step is. So just to recap on that turn process that makes messaging online so much easier. Number one, what do they think the problem and the solution are? Number two, help them to understand how to solve that problem and plant the seed that it might go a little deeper. Number three, what is the real need or bigger transformation that's at play here? What is the light bulb moment that you need to facilitate so that people are open to hearing about their next steps and that this is going to be bigger than just the small thing that they think it might be? And then N, what is the next step? How could you support their next step on this journey? Now, the first step to getting your messaging to be deeply resonant and work online is to make sure that it's super niched. So if you're new to this whole messaging thing and you want to first and foremost get the right niche so that when you craft your turn process, it's speaking to the right people and you will be resonating, then I'd love for you to come and check out a free resource that I have for you over with the show notes of today's episode at tashcorbin.com/273. The resource is my Nail Your Niche training. And in that training, I don't just help you get really clear on the important 5 decisions you need to make about your niche, but also how to start converting that into your messaging. And now you're also equipped with this beautiful turn process. So come and check it all out at tashcorbin.com/273. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Bye for now. Would you like more tips, tools, and resources to help you grow your heart-centered business? Head to tashcorbin.com today.